네, 특강에 앞서 잠시 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 오늘 특강의 원활한 진행을 위해 동시 통용을 위한 리시버 착용법을 안내해 드리겠습니다. 먼저 가지고 계신 리시버에 이어폰 코드를 연결해 주시기 바랍니다. 연결이 된 후에는 한국어 수신 1번으로 자동 세팅됩니다. 네, 소리 조절은 왼쪽 상하 버튼을 이용하여 주시기 바랍니다. 다음으로 이어폰을 착용해 주시면 됩니다. 오른쪽과 왼쪽의 구분은 없으니 편하신 방향으로 착용 부탁드립니다. 네, 오늘 화공특강 2교시 수업을 시작하겠습니다. 오늘 주한 네덜란드 대사관에서 요안나 도너바르트 대사관님과 겔라레 나더르 농무참사관님이 우리 도를 방문하셨습니다. 잠시 후 요안나 대사님의 인사 말씀 후에 겔라레 참사관님의 강연이 이어지겠습니다. 먼저 요안나 대사님을 소개해 드리겠습니다. 대사님은 폴란드와 멕시코 주재 외교관을 거쳐 주 스리랑카 네덜란드 대사를 지내시고 2019년부터 주한 네덜란드 대사로 활동하고 계십니다. 네덜란드는 6.25 전쟁의 유엔군의 일원으로 참전했으며 1961년 한국과 수교를 맺은 이래 경제, 외교, 문화 부문에 친밀한 교류를 이어왔습니다. 요안나 대사관님은 한국과 네덜란드의 교두보 역할을 하며 양국의 관계를 더욱 굳건히 하는데 아낌없는 노고를 쏟고 계십니다. 그럼 요안나 대사님을 무대 위로 모시겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다.
Thank you. 감사합니다. So my name is 요안나 도너바르트. I'm the ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands here in Korea. 안녕하십니까? Thank you so much for having me here. I was asked to speak a few words, so it's a pleasure to be in this province and to be invited by your governor. And we just had the most delicious meal that I've spent 3 years in Korea, but every time there are new vegetables, new meat or fish, whatever. So it was a very, very nice meal. And I've been to this province before, but it's beautiful. Let me tell a little bit about the Netherlands and Korea, just as a short introduction. It was already given. So last year we celebrated our 60 years bilateral ties between Korea and the Netherlands. It was COVID year, so we could not celebrate it in a way that we would like to. But nevertheless, we had quite a lot of events that we could share and that we could organize together. So this year we tried to make up to that with a lot of other events. So 60 years in which we had very close ties. It started with during the war. The Netherlands was one of the sending states. And since then we have worked together. To us, South Korea is a very important trading partner in Asia. After China, it's our second largest trading market here in Asia. So Korea, the market for the Netherlands is bigger than in Japan. And that comes with a lot of products. We work together in the fields of semiconductor. You might have heard of ASML, the big chip producing machinery being produced in the Netherlands and exported all over the world to companies like Samsung. But it also comes with a lot of other industries. You might not think of that, but in the cultural field, we have quite a close cooperation. Our architects love to work here because Koreans really have good taste. And here a lot of building and reconstruction is going on. So we have quite some architects active here. And but also a very important area is agriculture, where you will hear more about later on. So we are a very small country, relatively small country in Western Europe. very flat. It's called the Netherlands, meaning lowland. So a third of our country is below sea level. That means that over the years, we really had to fight the water because we had the water coming from the Alps, from Switzerland, Germany, those rivers flowing out into the North Sea through the Netherlands. So we had a lot of water coming from the east. And then we had the sea from the west. So with high tide, spring tide, lots of water to deal with. And in the past, we had quite some floodings. So fighting water, controlling water, managing water has been in our genes all the time. And that makes us right now, one of our biggest export markets is also water management. So we are a very flat land, so lots of water. That makes it also very fertile for agriculture. So we have a lot of cows, a lot of dairy. And even we are a small country, we are the second largest producer of agro products. That's horticulture, that's dairy, that's flowers, that's lots of things. You will hear more about that. And that all in a very small area. So we have to be very efficient and we have to be very smart. And you will hear more about that. And in the past, I mean, the farmers was seen as a very traditional profession. Working out in the field, milking the cows. So the young farmers, the sons, daughters, they didn't want to follow up on their fathers because it was all business. They wanted to be a real office. But nowadays, the farms are smart. They're very high tech. They're computer oriented. They are amazing. I mean, you have to really know about computers and all that. So now we see much more interest in farming, smart farming, and making a lot of profit. Huge investments going there, but also profits. So right now we see a young generation interested in that. And together with that, we also have the environment, climate change. So we want to do it in a smart way. We want to do it efficient, but we want to do it also in a clean way. We don't want to produce a lot of pollutants. We don't want to have chemicals. We don't want to have all kind of things in our food that's not healthy to us. So suddenly there's also organic farming that's very popular right now as well. Okay, we pay a little bit more, but then we know for sure that it's healthy, that it's produced in a very sustainable and responsible way. So that's a little bit in a nutshell. The Netherlands, the location on the western side of Europe, it means we have a huge harbor, Rotterdam, one of the biggest harbors in the world. We work together closely with your harbors in Busan Port Authority. A lot is happening. So the Netherlands is like a gateway to Europe because behind the Netherlands, there's Germany, there's France, there's Italy. So, but all the goods enter through the Netherlands. So we have a huge, very smart logistics center as well. And on top of that, I mean, most of us speak English, because not many people speak Dutch. And that makes us very attractive for foreign investors. So we have also lots of Korean companies who have chosen for the Netherlands as their point of investment headquarters for Europe. So that's a little bit in a nutshell. We have good relationship and and the latest thing is that right now Korea is also very popular in the Netherlands. We have a study, cultural studies and Korean studies in Leiden University. It used to be okay. But now lately with K-pop, with Parasite, with Squid Games, I mean, Korea is really very high up right now. Everybody. So there's a huge interest right now in studying Korean because especially girls, they want to see and to hear and listen and understand what they are singing. But also widely right now for art, for the cinema. I get interviews from the Netherlands, from journalists that ask me, okay, can you tell us what's coming next from Korea? Because Korea right now is really changing. I mean, they really tell us what will be a hype, the next one. So I told them, okay, cosmetics. I mean, there's a lot coming from this country. So you can be very proud of your country because the world is watching you and wants to copy you and wants to work together with you. So I think I'd just leave it like that. Later on, there might be a session for questions if you have them. And I think right now I will give the floor to the next speaker, whoever that might be. Thank you. 감사합니다.
네, 이어서 겔랄의 농무참사관님의 강연을 이어가겠습니다. 참사관님을 무대 위로 모시겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다.
First, I was trying to find Mr. Kang. Mr. Kang, put your hand up. Oh, there you are. So just sign to me when I'm going over my time, please. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm actually, I don't know, maybe I should keep this on so I can check the translation. No? I'm planning to give a rather lengthy presentation about the Dutch agriculture. So maybe it would be good for me to make it a little bit interactive also, because I want you to, it could be a very technical presentation. I want you to get the most out of it. Hold on a second. I'm already strangled. Finally. So again, you're sitting there now. Okay. So my name is Nader. I'll walk around a little bit because we just had lunch, and I want to also move around. I'm the agriculture counselor of the Netherlands at the Dutch Embassy. You already saw my ambassador. I've been in Korea for about 3 years. I try to speak slowly for the translation. No, actually, I've been to Korea more than 3 years. So I think in a lot of countries, when you stay in a country for 3 years, you already are a citizen. You already belong there. And that is exactly the feeling I have here. Not because Korea has been extremely hospitable to me, not because I love the food, I love the landscape, not very fond of the mountainous area because we are very flat. It's very scary for me. But also because I feel like there is a calling and that there is a need to cooperate with Korea. I think that Korea is such a wonderful country and it is advanced in so many ways. And sometimes it hurts me a little bit to see that agriculture is not as advanced as other parts of Korea. And I think that there is a lot of will and that the local governments really want to do good work. But there's just a little push or maybe a little motivation required from any party. It doesn't matter who that is. So because I love agriculture and because I love food, obviously, I'm going to try to tell you my story, and I hope that you take one thing with you home. If you take one thing, then today has been a very good day for me. And I will say how we did things in the Netherlands and how we are doing things in the Netherlands. First of all, just like every other country, we are still challenged. We are still faced with a lot of challenges. We are learning every day, and we are adjusting our agriculture and our mentality and our way of looking at this beautiful industry. So we don't know all the answers, but I know that Korea has a lot of answers in terms of technology and in terms of cooperation in a lot of fields. So I'm hoping that together with Korea, we can also overcome the challenges that we are faced with right now. So it is also a very friendly call or request for future cooperation. Not that I do see any chance of me coming back to Korea again, because you can be a counselor for agriculture one time in a country, but you never know. So first I want to know, who is a farmer here? 1, 2, 3, come on, don't be shy. Yeah, okay. Okay, you guys are farmers. You are also a farmer, okay. Is there anybody who is studying to become a farmer? No students? You're studying? Ah, great. Oh, you're studying too? Okay. So I have no idea what the idea is or how people think about becoming farmers here. But before I do my presentation, I want to tell you a little story, which is very important. I am seeing this trend also in Korea, and I hope that it becomes more. When we were studying in high school, I was completely fed up with the city, the stress of the city, the agendas, the calendars, the doing everything together. And I really wanted to have a nice life. So I decided I want to become a farmer. It might be a little bit strange for people in Korea, but I really wanted to become a farmer. And why did I want to become a farmer? Because in the Netherlands, the farmers are actually doing very well. They might disagree with me at times, but when from the outside you look, they have a lot of peace. They don't have the hassle and stress of the city. They usually have bigger houses, and they live in the green. So for me, that was amazing. I really wanted to do that. But becoming a farmer in the Netherlands is not that easy. You cannot just become a farmer for a lot of, back then you couldn't become a farmer if you wanted to become a farmer. And also I think my parents are not Korean, but I think in a past life they were Korean because my parents told me I cannot become a farmer. I should become at least an engineer or a doctor, which was very strange. I think they were Korean in a past life. And so I went and I studied engineering. I did agriculture engineering because I wanted to become a farmer. But, at the end, I didn't become a farmer because it's very difficult to become a farmer. I understand it's easier in Korea to become a farmer. So I sometimes envy and I wonder if the agriculture sector was so successful here in Korea as it is in the Netherlands, why would people not want to become farmers? I do understand there are a lot of challenges. The weather is bad in the winter, very harsh, very hot in the summer. But think about it. In the Netherlands, we don't even have sun. It's raining all the time. We do have sun sometimes, but every 3 days of sun means 2 weeks of rain. So we also have our own challenges. So that was my story of someone who wanted to become a farmer and didn't become a farmer because it was too difficult. And I think that obstacle is not here in Korea. It is only the mindset that needs to come to young people to see actually the advantage, and there is a need for improvement in the industry. Because right now, I understand that becoming a farmer means a lot of work. But in the Netherlands, it's not. It's actually a very, very well-accommodated job for a lot of farmers. So let me start. Am I almost done with my time? Oh, okay, I still have time. Okay, I will go over some of the slides faster because they're technical. And I will go over some of the slides even faster because I don't remember the details. But please, if you have any questions, come to me and I will respond to your question now or maybe later when I find out more information. Okay, this is a presentation. This is a very full presentation. So, don't fall asleep. So, I think our ambassador already said the introductory story of the Netherlands. For those that don't know where it is, that little dot over there, that's us. That's us. That's how small we are. And you might think, okay, a small country, agriculture, what are we talking about? We are actually positioned in a very good place. Or we saw our place as a good place. It is how you see the glass, right? It's either half full or half empty. So we say we are positioned in a very good way because this is the gateway to Europe. Based on our location, we built harbors and we have an airport which is very active. And I think that the way that we have tried throughout the history, and that is the mentality, throughout the history, try to find positive things from everything that we have and try to see, okay, how can I use this to make a win-win story? How can I use this to see opportunities? I think that is the most important thing for everybody, especially farmers. If I have harsh weather, what is it that I'm doing? How can I use it that other people cannot use? What makes my location special? I think that is very important. And I think the advantage is Korean people eat a lot of food. It's amazing. I'm always wondering, how are they so skinny? They are eating a lot of food, which means there is a lot of demand. That's always the advantage. Okay, let's go. So some very basic information about my country and about our income. It's a very small country, I already said that. And it's very flat. So we don't have the advantage of having different harvests, which are more native to mountains. And the sunshine is also very limited, as I said. It's I don't know who actually calculated this, but 2,420 hours is the sunshine that you get in Korea. We get 1,480, and I think that's actually on a good year. So I'm very happy here in Korea. It's sunshine all the time. We have 4 seasons, but I think our concept of 4 seasons is a little bit different because it rains quite a bit. This is what I want to show you. This is a comparison between Korea and the Netherlands. And I think one of the most important things that we see here is that this is the average land size for Korea. This is the average land size for the Netherlands. And how did we get here? It wasn't like this. First, we also had very small farms. I think even maybe smaller than this, because the country is extremely small. So at one point, people just realized, hey, there is no point of me farming if I have such a small farm. So I either have to sell my farm, do something else, or I have to buy someone else's farm, or marry someone's daughter who has a big farm. I don't know, however you like it. And this is something that also the local government tried to help with. What they did was they made it possible for farmers. They said, if you want to sell your farm, then you get some advantages if you sell it to someone else. Not if you sell it to someone to build a building or a shopping mall, no. But if you want to consolidate the land, then you get some advantages. I think that in Korea, there is a lot of opportunities because the local government is very, very strong and very much willing. I see subsidies, I see push, I see a lot of privileges when you want to do something. I mean, I was quite surprised to hear that one of the agriculture universities, if you're a farmer and you do a 4-year program and you go work as a farmer after that using your degree, you don't have to go to the army. I mean, I never thought that would be possible. That is how far some organizations, local governments, universities are going to encourage people to actually, make use of the opportunities that there are. Because let's face it, if all the farmers we see here, average age farmer in Korea is 66, with us it's 54. And the guy who's 54 farming, he has a couple of kids. And the kids, they're always saying, well, who's going to take over after daddy cannot farm anymore? So they always have also a plan. And why? The reason is because in the Netherlands, farming is not something that you do because you have to. Farming is something that you do because it's your business. It's a business model. They earn a lot of money. It's a company. So why wouldn't you want to take over your parents' company after them? So that is, I think, the most important thing. And of course, it becomes a company when it is economically viable. You can only want to take over if it is making money. So number one, I think, is the land size has to increase because otherwise it's not very good for, it's good for nobody. Why would you want to have such a small farm? You can't also invest. When it's very small, you cannot invest. There are other alternatives if you're extremely good in cooperation. You can, but that is a little bit difficult. You can also see here, this is what I was talking about when I said I wanted to become a farmer. In the Netherlands, the people who are living outside of the city are earning more. That is something that is not very well known in Korea. So here, urban income is much higher in Korea, but in the Netherlands, it's other way around. So, as my ambassador said, we are the second largest exporter of agriculture food. Why? Because we found out our country is way too small. So we need to be cooperative, and we need to be innovative, and we need to do more. We don't grow all of it. A lot of it we also import and process and export again. So that is also something that we do, and I think that Korea is also very good in processing. So it's not necessary to become sustainable or self-sufficient only by growing. You can also process what someone else is growing. Let's go to, by the way, in the Netherlands, 10% of our population works in the agri-food business. So that's already a very big number. And I think that you have seen these logos that I have put down, or Mr. Kong has put up. And these are the 3 out of the top 25 food companies in the world. 3 of them belong to the Netherlands. Okay, so Unilever is now stationed somewhere else for, doesn't matter, different reasons. But these are companies that started in the Netherlands, and now they are very big global players. So now you see agri-food export. US exports $136 billion. You know how big US is, right? It has its own continent. That little dot, that's us. We do 92%, 92 billion. But I will come to it. When you are doing really good, you always pay a price. So the question is, which price did we pay? And how are we trying to tackle that? We try to farm the future. Farming is not anymore a primary or a hard-working industry. Our farmers don't work so hard. It's true. I do remember, doesn't matter how many years ago, but we did have somebody working at the Ministry of Agriculture, and she married a farmer. And we said her life is over, because they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows. And when she got married, she said, no, I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning because the robots are milking the cows. I have no problem. And that was just an eye-opener for everybody. It's not hard-working industry anymore. It's a business. We are doing this on a large scale. And we are very happy that we are feeding the world. We are doing a lot of seeds in the world. We are doing a lot of horticulture practices. And also in Korea, I don't know, I always get a smile when I see that it says a product either was made in the Netherlands or the technology was used to make it. So here we have hydroponics. These are all examples of smart farming. It's actually the machines and the robots that are doing the work. The knowledge is the first thing that you put in. That's the only thing. And I think that you don't need to invent the wheel constantly, over and over. And that is where big cooperation comes comes around the corner looking. And this is an example of a cloud autonomous growing system. What the farmer actually does says, I want to produce so much. And then the system itself calculates, what do you need for this? What does the climate have to be? What are the best things to grow? Which period can you grow it best? And it's a very full system. Technology applied for food production. This one, a semi-closed greenhouse. We have one here. I think, let's see. There was a gentleman who was working with Kubo. Yes, I see him. He has a semi-closed greenhouse. with the Dutch technology, and it's basically a greenhouse that you can also grow also during summer. So actually all year round. You don't have to wait anymore for the weather to turn favorable or the rain to come. This is possible. It's possible for you to have your business all the time. It's not anymore as it was before, which is also kind of logical, right? 2022, you don't want to be only farming in the winter. You want to be farming when it suits you, not when it suits, climate, plants, or other conditions. We are also very good in vegetable logistics in the greenhouse. In the past, as you know, and also still in a lot of countries, it's the farmer that has to move and bring the vegetables, put them together, carry them in crates. Right now, it's the robots that do it. It's all automatic. Sometimes I feel like, what is the farmer even doing there? The farmer is supervising. All of this is through computer, on their mobile phone, and that's it. Just kind of crazy. But maybe I should have become a farmer, I don't know. Climate control. Climate control is very important in the Netherlands, also in our greenhouses. It's nothing new. We have a lot of sensors, and they make sure that the climate is adjustable based on what the plants need at that time. And we also obviously have climate control in the open field. Oh, I do think this is a video, right? This is a video. I don't know. Do I just click? Oh. This is a video about a pest control.
Introducing
There.
extremely small drones that hunt flying insects. Take moths, for example, which you may know from your backyard. As a pest, they are also a major cause of crop losses in greenhouses. Once a moth enters the greenhouse, it finds itself in moth heaven. Here, they can easily reproduce as there are no natural predators, and the use of insecticides is not a preferred solution. Nature solves insect overpopulation by slowly evolving natural predators. Using this as an inspiration and enabled by recent advancements in drone technology, bats developed an artificial predator that intercepts moths mid-air. Just like nature, we built them fast and small. So small that they're safe around humans. And so fast, even cats look surprised. Our system monitors and controls moth populations in greenhouses. Plagues are kept in check while the ecological balance is sustained. The drones never sleep and are always ready for action. They'll stay inside so that we don't impact the natural environment. The autonomous bat system controls pests so that the grower can rest assured. We protect your crops and provide sustainable insect control as a service.
Okay, so I guess that's the reason why it's called PATS. We are doing a lot of other things also in the Netherlands. It's not all high tech. Actually, a lot of things is just going back to how things were before. Because in the Netherlands we say vroeger. That means before, earlier. And we always say before everything was better. And sometimes the practices before were much better. And we probably need to use them again. This is one. Biological control system that a lot of companies are using. They are using, instead of using pesticides, they are using bumblebees. Or they are using natural enemies to attack insects that are not good for the crops. It's very environmentally friendly, and it's also very, very effective. And why would you otherwise use chemicals if this is the food or these are the vegetables that you're giving to your kids? You want to have good quality and less chemicals. This is another example of our innovation. It's the milking robot. I have no idea if you guys, does anybody have the Lely, for example, milking robot? Is there anybody from livestock here? Nobody from livestock? Okay. I do really want to encourage you to one time go to a dairy farm and look at the milking robot. It's fascinating. I mean, I have seen quite a lot of things, but this one was entertaining to see and very educational. So basically what you do is that all those cows have a tag or they have a ring around their necks. And the machine knows all of them. And the machine knows when did this cow eat, how much milk this cow is going to produce, because it has a history, right? And then if the cow wants to come and eat again and it doesn't have milk, it's like, well, I'm sorry, it's not your turn yet. But cows that have milk and want to come, then the gate opens, the cow comes in, and it just starts eating, and the machine, in a very flexible way, it's not hurting or anything, starts milking the cow. And that cow cannot come back again to eat, no cheating, because it can only come to eat when it's time to give milk again. It's give and take, right? I mean, you have to, even cows understand that. So the system is on the hand of the farmer. That's it. And what's very funny is that sometimes the machine, when the cow comes in to eat, the machine says, wait a second, it's been quite a long time that you didn't have a calf. I think you need to have a baby. And it goes in another room, and the only thing that the farmer does is insemination of the cow. That's it. So it's wonderful to see how relaxed a farmer is. And of course, I have to say the farmer that I visited had a high degree in international affairs. So he said, why would I work harder than I need to? I'm an educated man. I love my dairy farm. So I don't have to work like people did many, many years ago. I use technology, and then I have more time for myself. I thought that was a very good thing to say. So it was a business. He didn't have a farm. He had a business. He was an entrepreneur, not a farmer. Also, for manure treatment, we see traditional livestock farms. They're treating manure manually. But nowadays, again, same thing on your phone, on your iPad. Let the robots work. People are not doing this work anymore. It's the same thing in Korea. In Korea, a lot of robots are doing a lot of work. So I'm not saying they should take over the farmer's work. I think they should be taking over the work that the farmer doesn't want to do. So you see that this is one of the companies that is doing very well. It's the Lely robots. And actually, it's interesting for you to know that they expanded this summer their campus in the Netherlands, and our king was there to open because they're doing such a good job, not only for manure, obviously, and milking, but they're also the backbone of the farmers. So basically, companies, because where does Lely get his money from? From successful dairy farmers, right? If dairy farmers have a problem, then Lely has a problem. That is the realization that needs to come in for everyone in any field. Who do I need? Why do I need them? It's not only me. I have to also look out for someone else, because that someone else's problem could also be my problem. So now, when we have problems in the Netherlands, in the parliament, with our dairy farmers, and I'll come to that very shortly, but very briefly, it is Lely who is also doing the lobbying for them, because Lely is a business that needs the farmers. If the farmers are not happy, if they don't want to work anymore, if they want to give up their farm, Lely has a very big problem. You have a problem, I have a problem. Together we can have a solution. I think that's very important. And that is the basis of a successful industry, let alone agriculture industry. Agriculture is very simple, actually. So we also have feeding systems, and these feeding systems are also automatized, and they are controlling the weight of the pigs or other animals. But we are also working on new IA innovations. So there is this new project that I saw taking place right now. They look at, I have to go? Okay. They are looking at the faces of pigs to see if they're healthy or not. Health checking system. This is obviously the big picture. All the livestock housing has to be sustainable. He says quickly, mushroom systems, I think very applicable here in Korea. So cooperation, I already touched on this. Between government, farmers, and farmers by themselves. If you can cooperate, then you're successful. Just because you're competing doesn't mean you cannot cooperate. I think that is, if there's one thing that you take home with you today, that should be it. Competition doesn't mean no cooperation. The Food Valley is in Wageningen University, which is the #1 university for agriculture. And this is also a place where government and companies work together. See, there's also a research center. We also have Dutch or Korean companies come to the Netherlands to do research in Wageningen. CJ is one. This is another example of Seed Valley, because Seed Valley is where they bring the young farmers. They stimulate them to come and share their experience, to work together, and actually help them become entrepreneurs. This is very important. It's like a platform that uses, that tries to encourage them to work together. World Horti Center is another one. This is like an all year round establishment, platform, where all the state of the arts, research and achievements in agriculture. Applied science, companies, you name it. I mean, even every time I go there, I'm surprised with how much new things they have. Kenniskring is something else. I think that is something that is a very good example for local governments to create this. It is basically a platform where people can come and have, knowledge exchange. They can get information. They can find out about regulations, diseases, pests, anything you can think about. Because if you have a question, who do you ask? I don't think that you can ask Google about your agriculture questions. This is something that is very necessary for everyone. And the fun part is, every time it's somewhere else. It doesn't have to be at the city hall or the university because, I mean, you know, you don't want to go there every time. It could be very boring. You want to see something else. So it's at a farm, it's at a cafe, it's at a restaurant. It helps somebody to also show how successful they are, how they're doing. So, you know, it's also an invitation of getting together, getting to know each other, and working together. These are very normal initiatives that can have very big impacts. Innovation for future. There are three things that I'm going to touch upon, but I'm going to go very fast. We have a number of things that we have been working on in the Netherlands for agriculture, and these are three of them. Circular agriculture, or climate-smart agriculture, precision agriculture, and animal welfare. This is how agriculture started in the Netherlands. So first, we had to work on our social status. It's okay to be a farmer. You are just like everybody else if you're a farmer. You are not earning too little if you're a farmer. You have a good social status. Then people wanted to earn more. Then it meant national profits. And after all of that was achieved, we started thinking about other things. Awareness for social themes like animal welfare, human rights, working hours. And now we are thinking about the planet more. Climate change, obviously. And the beautiful thing about Korea is Korea's been here, but it doesn't have to take as long as we did to get there. I see Korea goes here, 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 here. And I am sometimes very much surprised to see, for example, pig farmers so active in animal welfare. It just has a different name. They call it sanitation and not animal welfare, but it's all the same thing. Circular agriculture in my country is learning from the past. So we had input, a lot of chemical fertilizer, pesticides. We used to only think about how can I make sure that my crops, my products are not gone to waste. How can I make sure that I earn more money? So we kept pumping all of these things into the land. And then what we got was food. But we also got a lot of emission. We also got a lot of soil contamination. And at one point, we thought, this is not okay. We can't. And everything I do affects someone else in a different way. This is a very good example. I think everybody knows this picture. COVID, recession, climate change, biodiversity. What happens at the end is much worse than what happens at the beginning. Because if our biodiversity collapses, because of climate change, for example, we will have recession. And that is nothing compared to what we actually went through COVID. And the wonderful thing is that Korea has done such a good job during COVID. They have shown that they can cooperate together, that they actually do follow the rules. And that is the lesson learned. I think if the cooperation also for agriculture and food production can be at that level, if they can follow the same pattern, they will be extremely successful. But don't tell anybody I told you that because, you know, we are also an agriculture country, so we don't want to have that much competition. So circular agriculture is production, residues, using the residues as input. It's basically very simple. This is what we need to have. We need to close the circle. This is an example. Closing the circle. The manure that comes from this livestock farm actually gets processed here, and the nutrients are used again in the system. You don't need to take the manure somewhere else to process. This is trying to close the system. If the feed for the animals are right next to the livestock farm, then you don't need to transport it that much. Making those distances shorter also means closing the circle. This is one of my favorites. You have all these cucumbers in Europe. If they are ugly or they are like, I don't know, bent or have two loops or whatever, you cannot sell them in the supermarket. They're called ugly cucumbers. This company actually started picking ugly food and making new products from it. I think it's genius. Seeing opportunities in every mishap. That is the power of the Dutch. Another one, the black soldier fly. This company is so, I don't get commission for this, but this company is so powerful that when they opened, the king actually went and opened the company, the part that was for using the black soldier fly. What you do, food waste, treatment using these insects. The insects eat the food waste, they get big, and they are protein. You can use them for feeding the fish, feeding the livestock. I read that the dog and cat food in Korea is also using it now a lot. So from tomorrow, my husband is feeding the cats. I'm not touching that thing. But this is very successful, and they are building a new factory here in Korea because they have an MOU with one of the companies here. So that's very good news. Another example, this company uses peels of citrus from supermarkets. Supermarkets are making all these fresh orange juice, French lemon juice. This company uses 40,000 kilo a day and makes other products with it. The only thing that the supermarket has to do is just to give it to them. They are making additives for cattle, but they're also making cleaning material from this citrus peel. This is a bridge made with fibers, natural fibers, because construction has a very big impact on our environment. This is an asphalt. They use a product that is the residue of carton and paper production. When they put it in there, they use actually waste in there. And it's very environmentally friendly because you are not paying so much for it. It is the waste of another production. And also, it decreases the greenhouse emission by 20% because it captures CO2 for a long time. This is my favorite. In the Netherlands, we have a lot of greenhouses. We have the best tomatoes in the world. Sorry, don't be jealous. But the green part and the leaves, we never use them. This company came up with an idea. They make paper fiber from the leaves. And what's nice about this is that you can recycle it 7 times. Usually paper you can recycle maybe 1 time. This one is 7 times, and they actually won an innovation prize because, you're basically using the waste, and that means that there is a very low input for your production. So precision agriculture, I won't say much about because I already touched upon it. There are 3 different ones. I think that this is a very good field for cooperation with the Netherlands because Korea is very good with technology and we are very good with applying technology to our agriculture. But this is a density potato field, and by making this map, it makes it easier for the machines to operate there. Also task maps. These are basically all systems that help the machinery do their work much better. And we also have ecological ways of dealing with our crops. This one, what you do is you do strip cropping systems so that the disease doesn't go from one crop to the other. And we have done a lot of research. All of these methods that I'm showing you now, they are not R&D. They are actually being used on a large scale. So they're all being used in the Netherlands daily. Now, something about what we did in the past, using worms as fertilizers. Why would you use chemical fertilizers? Why would you pay chemical fertilizers with all the consequences that it has for also your environment and your health when you can use these guys? Last one, animal welfare. I'm thinking, why not? Why not have animal welfare? It's the most logical thing in my eyes. Maybe because I love animals or I wanted to become a farmer. I cannot believe that there is a farmer that has a livestock farmer who says, I want to treat my animals badly. I want to make sure that they're suffering. I want to make sure that, that they have the worst conditions ever. It's impossible because it's his investment. When the farmers start thinking as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, they will also appreciate the investments. And that is what they are. You want to give them the best thing, the best environment, good ventilation. You want them to grow well. You want them to be without big problems, because you want to have quality products on the market. And that is basically what animal welfare is, taking care of your investment, giving them a good housing, good climate, making sure that they have good food that's good for them. And yeah, if you try to let your chicken grow in 10 days, then you will get maybe more profit, but the quality will not be very high. With animal welfare is also what comes is the role of the consumer, because people have to start paying for food. If people don't pay for animal welfare labels, for high quality products, then the farmer will have no choice but to go back to old ways of working. So this is also very important. Promoting animal welfare, promoting good hygiene, promoting high quality. And I think that there is a very good science-based opportunity for local government, universities, and companies to work with. And Korea is doing really well. I mean, we were surprised. When we went into the supermarket, there are supermarkets here that are working on animal welfare, good quality, and it's amazing for fish, for livestock, for pigs, for everything. We are the only country in the world that has an animal political party, which is interesting because it means that people actually can voice this easily, say, this is what we want. We want our food to be high quality, and we eat something that has not suffered. That's it. And of course, we have more than 100 million animals in our country. Imagine we are 17 million people, have so many animals. So it comes with a price, but we found out we have to actually make sure that these are treated well. Because when you don't consider animal welfare, it means that you are doing mega livestock farming. That means that putting animals in cages, putting them in a place that they cannot breathe. I cannot imagine that people consciously eat something that has suffered or has had pain for a long time or lived with a broken leg. So it's more about awareness as when it comes to animal welfare. Those are the steps that we have taken to be here, but we are not there all the way yet. We are learning every day. Farming is a privilege. Farmers deserve respect. They provide our food and nutrition. I don't understand why the position of a doctor or a teacher is higher than the position of a farmer. Because a doctor goes home and sleeps and rests, and is not a doctor 24/7, but a farmer is a farmer 24/7. So you really have to do something, and I'm now talking to the young people, to empower yourself to get the respect that you actually deserve. And you can do that when you are thinking professionally, when you are becoming entrepreneurs, when you look at your business as someone who is growing something that people need. It's not a luxury, it's food. Farmers overcome challenges, work hard, based on entrepreneurships. Very important. I would say read, and try to motivate yourself. Farmers can only succeed when they cooperate together. When you are working alone, it doesn't work. Just like COVID. If I wear a mask during the COVID time and nobody else did, that has no point. If one country was taking measures and everybody else was doing something, no, everything is connected, especially farming, especially food production. And the Korean farmers could be farmers of the future. I see potential, I see a lot of motivation. I see when Korean people want to do something, they really go for it, and they don't stop. It's like there is no break. It just goes till it reaches the goal. So I think that there is a lot of potential here. And please come and work with us, because we know you're very good in your technology and your persistence. And I think that we would make very good partners when we do that. I think this was a very long lecture, but 감사합니다.
잠시 질의응답 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다.
Okay. You have no faith in my Korean. Oh, wait. You're going too fast. 잠시만요.
준비가 되면 시작하겠습니다.
예, 죄송합니다.
잠시만요. Okay, now.
저기 네덜란드에서는 지금 동해등에 특히 이제 순환농법으로 동해등에를 얘기를 하셨는데 제가 알기로는 네덜란드에서는 동해등에 그 음식물을 못 먹이는 걸로 알고 있습니다. 구체적인 질문은 일단 동해등에를 사육을 할 때 어떤 거를 급여를 하는지, 그리고 동해등의 현황이 어떤지, 산업 현황이, 그걸 간단히 좀 묻고 싶습니다.
So it's the black fly is actually eating food waste. You know, the green things that we put in the green food that we put in the yellow garbage bins here in Korea. That is what the black fly is eating. So every time I'm doing my garbage, I'm thinking, I hope a black fly eats this, because that is what they're eating, and they're very successful, extremely successful. You can contact Mr. Kong, because he's an expert at our office, and he will tell you, when we tried to get this company, Profix, to come to Korea and do a presentation, they said we are too busy. Everybody around the world wants to talk to us. They have so many countries that they have covered. So we are happy that they are here now in Korea, and they're making a factory. But that's how successful they are. Because this is what they do. They don't do the rest. They only make those black soldier flies. They feed them, and they make them ready. Then it is up to the companies to see what they want to do with them. If they say, well, we want to make fish food with them, fine. Let's make fish food. And you know, in Jeju, all these flatfish, they eat very bad food, which is also bad for the ocean. So it causes a lot of pollution, but these guys don't. So this thing is actually clean, environmentally friendly, and most importantly, costs very little, because what they use as input is the garbage. Well, it's not tasty, I guess, but you know, I'm making it very exciting, but it's not tasty.
네, 또 질문 있으시면. 네.
예, 농무관님, 예, 네덜란드 농업의 전반적인 혁신 사례에 대해서 설명을 잘 들었고요. 그 전체 인구의 1%, 그러니까 한 17만 명이 수천만
Yeah, 17 million people.
예,
네.
그래서 농업을 이제 책임지고 있고, 현재 농업을 하고 있는 농업인의 35% 정도가 자녀들인데, 자녀들이 또 이 농업을 계속 하기를 원한다고 하는 그런 사례를 보고 상당히 놀랐고요. 그래서 아까 그 모두의 농지, 조그마한 그 토지를 갖고 있는 농업인들이 이제 이렇게 농업의 대형화를 위해 가지고 토지를 판매를 하게 되면은 정부, 중앙정부 내지는 지방정부 차원에서 인센티브를 주고 있다고 하셨는데, 구체적으로 어떤 인센티브를 주고 있는지 좀 알고 싶습니다. 감사합니다.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually a very good question. The answer is not only one, because they, in the process of the history that they were developing, they did a number of things. I would like to share that information with you because I'm sure there are documents on it which will explain it very easily. I can give you another example that I know much better. That is, before I came here, I was working for the fisheries, and we did the same process. You know, in the Netherlands, we have a lot of small boats. Boat. And every boat was using diesel. Every boat was, you know, having its own problem, and they had to maintain and everything. So the central government said, we do what is we call a sanering action. And what that means is you can sell your boat, but more importantly, your quota of fish, because you can only catch so much based on your paper, to someone else. So big companies with bigger boats bought the rights and the boats, and they became bigger companies. And the government actually made it possible because it's not only selling your land, it's also selling the rights. There's also legal things that you have to do, right? And the government said, we will take care of that. If you want to, because first of all, everything is science-based. So we have to see if this is actually good for economy, people, but also position of the fishermen, because we don't want to improve unemployment. And so they do a study. They do an impact assessment. And when they do that, they say, okay, it's better to have bigger companies, not so many small ones. And then they say, okay, fine, we're going to help you, and these are the steps that we are going to take. Yeah.
네, 질문 하나만 더 받겠습니다. 네.
I'm a National Agriculture Training Program student.
Congratulations.
Sorry?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Especially, I majored in greenhouse. But when I heard about semiconductor greenhouse, as I know, it costs $1,500 per 30.3 square meters. So in Korea, it costs very a lot. Not exact, but as I know. Obviously, it's very expensive, like the other device, like the other things. So, I have a question. So, in Netherlands, how they can start with like the massive device or massive infrastructure? And another question too.
You have a fan. Somebody is agreeing with you. Yeah. Okay.
So and another question: to improve population of farmers, like youth, like us, what is more important between government policy or government support and just personal finance? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So you guys want to have dinner tonight, right? Because I can talk hours about this. I think you touched on the most important points too. I like the first one, so I'll start with the first one and I'll come to the second one. Basically, for the second one, it's all of the above, but I will explain. Your first question was, a semi-open greenhouse, it costs a lot of money. Yeah, it's true. That's why I'm not a farmer, okay? Because it was very expensive to become a farmer, or to buy land, or to have greenhouse. But the reason is because I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't think as a business person. That's the thing. If you are thinking as a business person, you have a business plan, right? When you have a business plan, also in Korea, as a developed country, you can go to the bank or an investor and say, this is my business plan. I know what I'm going to grow. This is the technology I'm using. These are the guys who are going to buy it from me. I know if I grow this, I can sell it. In the 80s and 90s, we used to sell paprika from the Netherlands. I like this, Mr. Kong's example. I really like it. We used to sell paprika to Korea and Japan. But we also used to sell greenhouses to Korea. Now, Korea is using our greenhouses, making paprika, selling to Japan. So they know, they found out, this is the market. The Japanese want our paprika, so why are the Dutch selling it when we can sell it? This is making use of opportunities. Are we sad that they are selling paprika to Japan? No, because we are selling more greenhouses. Again, turn a situation into an opportunity, you know? So this is the most important thing. In the Netherlands, we actually have a bank The Rabobank is not Rabobank, it's Rabobank, and it's actually for farmers. They invest in promoting young farmers. And I think that I have no knowledge of how it works in Korea, but I think that if there is not already a bank or an investment office, making this possible for especially young starters, like a startup, that would be where I would start. You know, make a petition, ask the local government, ask the governor who's listening to me right now, you know, to make it possible. And this is really the future. If you want to make your country sustainable, self-sufficient and sustainable, because COVID has taught Korea, I know, because I lived here. I didn't go outside of Korea during the whole COVID. I know how difficult it was to bring things in, and we were the lucky ones. A lot of countries couldn't bring anything in. If this happens again, which it will, there will be other pandemics, then you don't want to be only reliant on what is coming inside. So it's good for everybody. Second question, what is the most necessary thing? I think the most necessary thing is a culture change, that people actually understand. I'm an agriculture student. I studied agriculture, and I was very proud. I was thinking, when I go back to the Netherlands next year, what am I going to do? Maybe I should do something else. I've been thinking about that the whole summer. I don't want to do something else. I just want to do agriculture. I love food. I love green. I love food, you know. So why would I want to do something else? I'm going to do something that makes me happy. And I think that is the change that needs to come. Number one, if you want it, you can make it. Two is to make it, I'm sorry to say, agriculture needs to become more sexy. It just needs to become more hip. I don't know. Have BTS come and visit a farm. Whatever works for Korea. Because it is okay to be a farmer. Maybe if you're doing horticulture, you're doing greenhouses, and people think agriculture, you're a farmer, it's not cool enough. Maybe you can be an horticulture engineer, expert. Call it something else. In the Netherlands, we changed the names of our work just to become it more acceptable, socially acceptable. That is number one. Regulations definitely works much better. But in Korea, you are very lucky because there are still a lot of subsidies available. In Europe, all those subsidies are going away. If you are lucky enough to get a subsidy, you have to pay 50% of that subsidy yourself. And trust me, working for the fisheries in 7 years, I've seen a lot of companies that had to pay back that subsidy because they were missing a receipt or something. So that's very painful, and I see the willingness of the Korean government to do that. And think about it, the backbone of every country is the agriculture sector. The lobby is very strong in the parliament, also in our country, also here. And you are living in this is the area I can see. It's green everywhere, and there is a lot of motivation and a lot of enthusiasm. So, business plan, mentality, go for it.
네, 또 질문 받겠습니다.
예, 제가 한국의 농업 전문가로서 이렇게 좀 질문하게 된 것을 좀 미안하게 생각하고, 오늘 여기 지금 네덜란드 대사님하고 또 우리 농부관이 여기 오셨기 때문에 여기 지금 올 오디언스가 파머, 또 리서처 많은 분들이 계세요. 그래서 이분들에게 공통적으로 우리가 드려야 될 말씀이 있다, 이런 생각이 합니다. 그래서 네덜란드의 농업은 비즈니스 농업으로 이미 갔었고, 우리 농업은 비즈니스 농업이 되지를 못했고, 이런 어떤 사정에 따라서 이번에 다음 주에 우리 가버너하고 같이 네덜란드에 성공했던 그런 데를 장소를 한번 보려고 우리가 지금 이제 계획을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 이제 한국 농업은 이제 제2단계 석세스풀한 농업을 가기 위해서, 비즈니스 농업을 가기 위해서 우리가 어떤 것을 체인지를 해야 되느냐. 우리는 답은 대부분 엑스퍼트로서는 알고 있습니다. 그러나 여기에 계시는 분들이 네덜란드의 농업의 가장 성공적인 요인은 무엇이냐? 그거는 정책 결정을 할 때 누가 가장 중심에 있느냐? 정치적으로 정책 결정을 하시느냐? 아니면 전문가의 의견을 들어서 정책 결정을 하는지 한번 거기에 대해서 우리 농무관님이 겪었던 거 그것을 조금 더 사례를 보태서 이야기를 해주시고 지금 고전에 농무관인 미스터 강은 지금 어디에 같이 있습니까? 아니면 멀리 가셨는지 그걸 뭐 한번 묻고 싶습니다. 예.
Put your hand up. 저기. So, thank you for that question. I think very good question. I'll try to finish this answer before dinner. You have any questions about, you want to have any questions about your trip and those kind of things? Don't come to me. Go to Mr. Kong because he has all the answers. He's been working with us for a long time and he's a very valued part of our embassy. Been to the Netherlands for many, many times, so he can help you with almost every, don't promise anything, but almost every question. Who is this person who makes the good decisions? He doesn't exist. Why? Because there is nobody that can make one decision. It is a fairy tale almost. And I know. I'm waiting for that one person to come and change my life around, and he's not coming, and it's not the jackpot. It is a combination of people and a combination of conditions, and at the end, everybody has to chip in. That is the most important thing. I think that is the one thing that I can say. In the Netherlands, we have this system, poldering. It means making decisions together. It is the most difficult thing you can do because you want to listen to everyone's opinion and everybody has a say. But everybody looks at the problem in a different way and everybody has some kind of solution. And their solution could be very good. So sometimes for making one decision, we have 2-3 years of sitting and talking and talking and talking and trying to agree. But when we agree, that is the magic moment. Because everybody agreed. It's difficult, like I have now. It's difficult, but when it happens, you don't have anybody backstabbing you. You don't have anybody doing something else. You don't have anybody doing the opposite. Because that person is convinced. Not everybody is always looking at the same way, but you try to convince. Research, traveling, presentation, talk. And at the end, we always make an agreement. This is the agreement. I do this, you do that. Give and take. And I know it's difficult, but the most important thing is Korea is very harmonious in many ways, and they speak out. So I think this system would be also very applicable here, but it just needs a bit of practice. And obviously we can also help with that because the Wageningen University has done a lot of studies about how to have partnership discussions, how to look at the same way. And it's not only policymakers. I was a policymaker. I didn't know all the answers. We didn't know. We banned eating sharks in one of our islands. Then we came there and we found out that shark is an authentic national recipe. So policymakers don't always have the answer. And I was very upset because I said, when we make this regulation, where were the fishermen? Where were the people of the island? Who made this decision? They didn't ask them. So I said, we are not going to do this anymore. I want to have university for science, companies for experience, local people for their participation, university and young people. Because you want to have all of the stakeholders. And that is the stakeholder, power of the stakeholder. I know it seems like far-fetched, but it's not that far-fetched. The most amazing thing is how did Korea become so successful in such a short time? I think that is a bigger achievement than having farmers and stakeholders sit together. Aren't you tired of looking at me here up here?
네.
Yes, of course.
So, like Keller explained, so it's indeed about cooperation. I think if you look at all the sectors, the industry in the Netherlands, agriculture is the one that already organized itself centuries ago. They all worked together in corporations. They made sure that they had research, the best university, and they worked together and they shared. And they really, I mean, we have embassies all over the world, and only agriculture has their counselors all over the world to promote it and to share the knowledge. And that's the other thing that I would like to mention, that it's about letting others in. So we are very much cooperating with others. Listen to others, because we think we know a lot, but others know even more. So we have these centers of excellence like Wageningen to make sure we have the best professors coming there to share their knowledge. And together we can make beautiful things. So it's not trying to solve it all by yourself as a country. It's really going around and trying to be this center of excellence and work together. Companies invest in you, they invest in research. The farmers. And we have gone through a lot of problems. I mean, and this huge economy of scale, having these big farms. But in the end, we have a product that we think we can sell, and that also is sustainable in the end. Yeah.
I always say it's just like when Wikipedia came, everybody thought, what, you're putting your information for free on internet? Why would you? And now we see the added value. So sharing is really caring. So if there are no more questions, I think everybody
이제
has had enough of me.
아쉽지만 마무리하겠습니다. 오늘 특별한 걸음 해주신 요안나 대사님과 겔라라 참사관님께 다시 한번 감사의 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 허공 부모님 특강 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.